All right, good morning. We are in Rawi, Aberdeen. Like I said, this is just going to be a really quick run through on how to get your flight plan or the plane to follow your flight plan because I know a lot of people be struggling with the Airbus. This is our A321 ready to go. Right, so this is how you set the plane up. Let's get inside. Let's get on board, shall we? Very, very quick. First things first, get the plane started up. Lights off. Just a very, very quick run through on how to get this plane to follow your flight plan. No airplane jargon, no pilot talk, just from one amateur to another. How do I get this thing in the air? Well, this is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. First things first, we're going to clear everything from this computer here. I don't bother with that one because it just confuses people when you start watching videos and the guy's using both of them. No confusion, just very simple. So first thing you do, you clear everything from here. Let's clear that. Then what I tend to do is I go to ident first. Now this part you don't have to do, you can skip this bit. I'll put my flight number in. And don't worry, this is not a video that you've probably seen before where they put every single detail into this. There's a way quicker way to do it than that. Right. The other thing I do is I come to this computer, I get the QNH for where we are, which is there. It's under Q and those numbers. So QNH for here is 1002. So we'll set that into the plane right now, 1002. On both sides. Ten-zero-two set. For some reason I have takeoff lights on, don't need those. Right, now this is how you do it. Let's get ourselves set up. First of all, you have to make sure that you've got your passengers, your weight done properly. If this here, where it says estimated takeoff weight, goes yellow or orange, you're overweight. It will let you load, but it won't give you the configuration that you've got. So just make sure that this is white before you send it to the plane by clicking on load. So let's load that up into the plane. Now the plane has its weight and its passengers, it knows what's going on. Now let's go to the flight page. So here is where all the fun starts. Currently, we are at we are in Edinburgh. Yes, we are. And we are going to in fact, let's change that. Let's go to Heathrow. That way I can do a flight plan right over London. Right. So now the plane knows where we're coming from and where we're going to. Next thing to do, add your departure. Whatever airport you're taking off from and whatever airport you're going to, make sure you know what direction you're flying in, because then it will help when you start to pick your departures and your arrivals, because then you know what direction you're coming from. So we know we're going south. So let's pick a departure that takes us south. Let me make this a bit bigger so it can actually be seen. Make it large. Right. The yellow line is where you're going to be going. The pink line is where you are currently going. So we want that yellow line to take us south. There you go. We can take that. Take off from the runway. Do that turn. And then we'll bank down south towards London. So we can take that one, or we can take this one. But that just takes us straight north. So we'll do this. Add procedure. Now, I tend not to add the route until when I've done the departure, arrival, and approach. And then I do the route, and it kind of glues it all together. So let's do the arrival. Coming from the north. We will be landing at runway 27. So I can do the arrival I would like to. Coming in from the north. Like that. So you can see that yellow line. That would be beautiful for us considering where we're coming from. So we'll add that procedure. Now the approach. I already know what approach I want. I want either the BNN approach or the LAM approach, because both of those take the plane straight over the area that I live in. So we'll do the BNN approach, because as you can see, it links up nicely with what we've already just done. You see that? Takes us right over London. That turn there is right at Emirates Stadium. And then we come right over Buckingham Palace and do the final turn into Heathrow as they would in real life. So we'll add that. See how easy it is? Then we'll add our route to glue that all together. It's giving us a cruise altitude of 23,000. That's fine. Alright. That's all loaded up. Now if we look on the map, I'll make that a bit bigger for you guys. Alright. If you look now, our flight plan is in business. So we're going to fly out, make a left turn, fly directly south. By the way, these are real airways that a plane would have taken from Aberdeen to London. And then there's our approach. Beautiful. Now, once you've got all that set up and you're happy with the route that you're looking at, and it makes sense before you send it to the computer on the plane, once you've done all of that, we'll go to send. Do not send it to the ATC and avionics at the same time, because what will happen is when you load into the plane, he will ask for his clearance straight away, he being your co-pilot. Once they ask for clearance straight away, it won't allow you to see the animation of your passengers boarding, which most people like to see. So to avoid that, send to avionics. We can get rid of that for now. QNH at Heathrow, that's strange. It's usually 10:12, it's 10:05. Right. Now that we've sent everything from here to the plane itself, we can close that off. You'll go down to takeoff. Sync. You see our weights popped up in there. It knows what runway I'm taking off from and where we're going. You'll then click calculate. Flex is 63. The only thing you need to write down from this, which you're going to transfer into the MFB, is your flex. So the MFG, send that to it now. So you need to write down your flex, because you'll see why in a second. That's all you got to write down, is that top number there. Oh yeah, there's a couple things. You write down your flex. You write down your QNH for where you're going. And you write down the temperature. Usually I just make the temperature up because I can guarantee you it is not 12 degrees in London right now. I can tell you that right now. It's not. So you can make up a temperature, but all you need to write down is your temperature, your QNH for where you're going, and your flex, which I need to remember is 63. Then we'll go down to our computer. This is where it all this is where it's all really crucial that you don't make any mistakes. So get our flight plan back up so we can see the flight plan that I've sent is now in our computer. Look for any discontinuities, which it will say on screen. It will say discontinuity. If you see one, you click on the tab next to it, or sorry, you click delete, then you click on the tab next to it, and that will get rid of the discontinuity. But if done properly, you shouldn't have any. TD is top of descent. PC is top of climb. So now I know 23,000 is where we're going to go. So let's punch in 23,000 here. 23,000 set. Right. This is how you make the plane follow you properly. So you go to pref. Right. We've got our speeds on the computer here because we just sent it over. That's all these details here, apart from your flex, which you have to write yourself. Right? So we've got 118, 119, 129. Now these are your speeds that you'll be taking down the runway. That final number is when you're going to be pulling on the yoke, or in your case, probably the control pad, and then you'll start to lift off. What did I say the flex was? 63. And this is why you need the flex number, because you're going to put it into the FMS. 63. See where it says flex to temp? Put 63 in there. Flaps. For most Airbuses on takeoff, it's 2. So we'll put 2 in there. We will then go across to here. Flaps set to 2. While doing this, you now have to multitask, or don't have to, but I tend to. So what I now do is, now that I'm halfway to setting up the plane, I start to get luggage and passengers, etc. on board. So there's no luggage, so we will have the passengers board them.
Aberdeen ground, EZY 72 GM uniform 280.
Right, so once you've put in speed, flaps, flex, we'll go to next. Next again. Next again. Next again. Next again. Now, remember when I said you need to write down your QNH and your temperatures? This is why. I didn't, so I need to go back to the screen. QNH is 1005, so we'll punch 1005 in. 1005. That's 1002. 1005. Sometimes the cursor messes around. A lot of people will say to you, move the tablet around and the cursor will get back to doing what you want it to. The easiest and quickest way is just get rid of the cursor, bring it back. It's just quicker that way. Right, 1005. So let's punch that in. 10.005. That's the QNH for where we're going. Do that again. Thank you very much. I'm just going to make up a temperature for London, and considering how it feels right now at 6 in the morning, I'm going to give it a temperature of 3 degrees with, I don't know, 3 degrees with a 10 knot wind. There you go. So that's how you put it in, 03. Make sure you put that slash before you try to enter it into the wind and temperature gauge. And then the temp, 3 degrees. So 3, punch that in. Don't worry about this side. Again, you'll be watching this on video so you can rewind, but don't worry about this. Just get your QNH, your flat temp, and your temperature and wind speed in. And then we'll go to next. And that's set up. That's all you had to do. That's in pref. So you put your speeds, flaps, flex temp, which you get from the computer on the side there. Go next, 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 next. QNH, temperatures. Send it to the plane. Takeoff config, clear. Winning. And literally, that is all it is to set up the Airbus. Literally, I'm done. It is that simple. It's done. So all you got to do now is just rewind the video, pause, and watch from where you need to. Our passengers are boarding. Beautiful. And now our passengers are boarding. Let's send our flight plan to ATC. Now we do that. Let's contact ATC. Get our flight plan in place with them. And that is literally all it is, to setting up the Airbus so that it follows your flight plan, which I know for most people playing this game, the Airbus is an absolute nightmare. And I only know that because it was an absolute nightmare for me. For around 3 weeks, I couldn't fly these planes. Like my flight routes and everything, it just wouldn't follow nothing.
By the Gulf departure, runway 16. Climb by SID maintain 4000, expect flight level 23 010 minutes after departure. Departure frequency is 119.875, squawk 5152. EZY-72, GM uniform 8070.
Boarding is complete.
GM uniform 28070. Readback is correct.
You'll also notice this sometimes as well. So
good day.
It's loaded my passengers, but it didn't load my co-pilot. So
uniform 28070 with Mike. Ready to taxi. IFR.
EZY-72 GM
go to
uniform
performance,
28070.
mass and
Taxi
balance.
and hold short of runway 16 using taxiway Mike 7. Contact tower on 118.105 when ready.
I've just remembered I can't change any of these settings because the doors are open, so I need to wait for clearance, get clearance for pushback, and then I can adjust how many people I've got on board. But as you can see here, the plane is happy with all the things we've just done, the whole setup. Very happy. But that is the simplest way to set it up. Watch the video from the beginning. It's really, really simple. Once you've got your flight plan in properly and it all makes sense, you send it to avionics. Do not send it to ATC and avionics at the same time, because for some reason it confuses the sim. I don't know why. Maybe there'll be an update where it confuses the sim. So just send it to avionics first, then get your plane set up, then send it to avionics so that you can get your taxi in and etc, etc. Right, let's get pushback clearance, and then I can get my co-pilot in the plane. So pushback.
Aberdeen ground, EZY-72 GM uniform 28070, requesting pushback.
The doors will then close. Thank you very much. We can go from 99 to 100. That will then give me my co-pilot. There she is. Thank you much. And we should have our passengers still. Let's see. Thank you much. Right. We are now officially ready for pushback. I just felt the tug connect to the front wheels. But yeah, as I said, guys, it is literally that simple. I'm ready to fly now. There's nothing else I need to do for the Airbus in order for it to follow my settings. We have nav is on. One thing I will do is I will arm auto throttle. So when we take off, it will be setting the speeds for me. Make sure that you've got those dots, as you can see there on screen. That dot means it's going to follow my speed. That dot means it's going to follow the heading, not the heading that's set on here, but the GPS heading that we set with our flight plan. All right. I also like to set my screens up. So what I mean by that is, you'll see it say nav flight plan. This controls this screen here. So I want flight plan. I want it zoomed out a bit so I can see where we're going, and I can see our beautiful flight plan. That blue arrow, I don't know if you can see it, but that blue arrow indicates the top of climb. That's when we'll reach our climb of 23,000. This is just preference. You don't have to do any of what you're seeing me do right now, but this is just my preference of how I want everything to look. Right, let's get these lights off. Interior lights, which are there. Get that turned down. Beautiful. Get this one turned down. Beautiful. Right, let's push back. R1 circle. Like I said, I just wanted to show people how to set this up with no airplane jargon, no pilot talk, no long elongated words that nobody understands. Just a very simple way. How in the hell do I get this plane to follow my flight path? How do I do it? This is how you do it. Literally. No fancy stuff, just very simple. You just got to make sure, guys, that you understand the direction you're flying in, the altitude your plane will be flying at, and make sure your waypoints make sense, because if it doesn't make sense on the screen, it's not going to make sense to the plane. It has to make sense. Well, it doesn't have to, but if you want a smooth flight from airport to airport, it kind of is better off to you that it makes sense. Right, now that he's pulled away, we can get our taxi lights on. We can get our strobe lights on. We are officially ready to go. Wow, that is bright. Okay, let's taxi without those lights because I literally can't see a thing. Alright, let's go. I am on the Hotas 4, so I literally don't know what this sim is like using the control pad for flying systems. I have no idea because I've never done it. I literally had the Hotas 4 and the Thrustmaster rudder pedals before the game even came out, so I literally started playing this with the full setup, so I don't know what it's like with control pad, but I'm hearing it's very good. I'm hearing it's better on PlayStation with the control pad, than it is with Xbox or PC, which is interesting. Right. Making our way to the runway. We've got our clearance. Taxi lights are on, clearly. QNH set. Second. Braking on the left to bring that wheel round a lot more faster. So I don't know what it's like to taxi using the control pad, but I will tell you the Thrustmaster rudder pedals are amazing. It's very, very accurate, as you can imagine. We're going over there. Alrighty. And I'm literally just going to show you guys when I turn on autopilot what the plane is going to do. Right. We are ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. And you will notice this guy, I hope there's an update for it, but this cursor sometimes is an absolute nightmare. Especially at 6 in the morning. Right, we are clear.
Cleared for takeoff runway 16, EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
Now, I'm not too sure if I'm going to let the stream carry on for the whole flight. I'll make that decision once I'm airborne. May cut the stream as we get airborne, because this was literally just to show people how to get the plane to do what you would like it to as far as your flight plan goes. Right, we are lined up on a runway. Half throttle. Listen to these engines. Full thrust. Watching for that blue number 1 on my screen, which is rotate, positive rate, gear going up. Flaps to 1. Bye bye Aberdeen. Still hand flying. Takeoff flights off. Should have been on takeoff flights, but we'll pretend that I did it. Half throttle. Bring the plane to half throttle. Make sure that you got the plane on climb. See it says CL. And now autopilot engaged. And you see what we're doing? If I zoom in on here, you'll see we're turning now to follow our flight plan. You see?
Climb and maintain 7,000. Expect flight level 230. EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. Climb and maintain flight level 230.
230 set. Now, next thing you do,
flight level 230. EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
next thing you do, only in the Airbuses, you'll see on here, this is flashing. You see your QNH is flashing. That's an indication that's telling you, wait a second before I say anything more. That's the indication telling you to set your QNH numbers. Remember, this was one of the first things I touched. The QNH numbers. Set it to standard by pressing square. Set to standard, and literally now at this point, there's nothing for you to do at this point. She's flying herself. She knows she's going south, and she's going to follow all the waypoints that we put into the flight plan. And that is literally how you get an Airbus to follow your flight plan. Very, very easy. Very, very simple. There's a lot of videos out there that make it seem like a science expert to try and get the plane into the sky. It isn't. It's very easy. It's just that people litter the videos with pilot jargon and all of this stuff most people don't understand. It's very easy. And hey presto, here we are. Aberdeen to London, very simple. I can now sip the coffee and I know that she's going to do exactly what I want her to. We can have the seatbelt lights off, which are located right here. There you go. Beautiful. What I normally do before I set our QNH to standard after takeoff, what I normally do is I look at what the QNH is where I'm going, which is 1005. And I normally, before setting it to standard, 1005, I set it to what it's going to be where I'm going. That way, on approach, it's not something I need to mess around with and try and remember what was the number. It's already set. Now we're in cruise mode. Just make sure with the Airbuses, guys, just make sure after your climb that you've got your throttle in CL before you turn on your autopilot. Bring the throttle down to CL, which is climb, and then it will follow the speeds. Otherwise, if you've got that throttle anywhere else on that dial, it's not going to happen. The plane will just ignore you and just be doing full speed ahead, and you'll be really frustrated. Kind of like what this is doing now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out of autopilot for the speed by pressing square. And I want to set my own speeds, which will be 280-ish knots, but I'll play around with that. In fact, let's bring that down. Flaps up. That's one thing I forgot. Make sure your flaps are up, guys. That was one oversight. And the only reason why I knew I didn't bring my flaps up is because we had a speed limit. That red bar that you saw on there, that was telling me your flaps are up at flipping 20,000 feet. That's not good. But they're closed now, and now we can get up to speed. So I'll let autopilot do its thing. So I've put it back onto autopilot for speed by pressing X and circle to get out of it. We are climbing beautifully. I literally can't say it enough times, guys. It is not as difficult as they make it look to set up your flight plan to any one of the Airbuses in this sim. When I first got this sim, I found it impossible to fly these planes, and that was because I was following YouTubers that were talking to me like I'm a qualified pilot, giving me all this jargon and all this long-winded explanations on how to do something really simple, just so that I watch their whole video. It's really easy, guys. Go to the beginning of this video. It will take you, if you follow it properly, 20 minutes, and you'll be able to do it yourself. And just like with anything, you do it enough times, you can then do it with your eyes closed. Kind of like what I can now. Nobody's born running, are they? So let's not try and do that with things that we do in a daily life. You can't run before you walk, and you can't walk before you crawl. So check on our passengers, shall we? An early morning EasyJet flight. Only a few of us know what that's like. Not particularly great, but you know, a flight's a flight, I suppose. Let's have the premium seat. Okay. And you can mess around with the lighting in the most of the planes, all of the Airbuses definitely. I'm trying to think, can you mess around with the Boeing cabin lights? I don't think you can. You got all the lighting in the cockpit, but I'm trying to remember if with the Boeings you can mess around with the cabin lights. Don't think there is a setting for that, but you can with the Airbuses anyway. So if I go back here and I go to ground, cabin lights, see, bring them down, and we'll go slightly more darker. You'll also note as well when you're trying to move around like I am here, some planes like you just saw, I stopped all of a sudden. That wasn't me. It's like there's an invisible wall. Like now I'm trying to move to the left and to the right. It's not letting me. So I've got to go back and find a sweet spot that allows me to move. Hopefully in an update that changes because the invisible wall is quite annoying, and sometimes I actually disengage autopilot by accident and the plane goes into a nosedive and it just gets silly. All because I wanted to look through the window. But yeah, as you can see, we are following our flight path as planned. We are at our assigned altitude of 23,000 as planned, and we are doing our speed of 290 knots as planned. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to keep the stream going for the whole flight. This was literally just a video to show people how to get the Airbus to follow their flight plan. Really easy. But yeah. I may turn back on the seatbelt lights. Quite a lot of turbulence. What's the wind speeds? Oh wow. We've got a 54 knot 54 knots right-handed wind. So it's licking us from that side at 53 knots, 54 knots. A tailwind would be nice. Like I said, I'm no pilot, I'm no professional. I can barely even tell you what the knots are correctly. And yet I can get an Airbus in the sky. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't take a genius. Beautiful. This is such a good sim. Like, you don't even need to be into planes. You just have to have an open imagination, And if you have that, this sim is your oyster. I literally own 25 PS5 games, maybe more. The last 6 games are the most latest games to come out. The Battlefield 6, the Forza Horizons that came out on PlayStation, all these different games. And since this sim has dropped, I have literally played nothing else. Quite literally. Beautiful. You can see that green that you're seeing on the screen there. That's bad news. That's weather. That green is bad news. And looking out the window, outside looks terrible. Put it this way, there is a crane across the road from where I am currently looking, and I can't see the top of the crane, which tells me landing this at Heathrow is not going to be fun. We are literally not going to see the ground until the last second. Literally. Especially if it stays how it is outside now. Because obviously in sim, this is real weather, real traffic. So whatever I'm seeing currently outside is what it's basically going to be when we're landing. Because I'm not too far from Heathrow where I'm situated currently. And it is a really, really dull, dark, grey, overcast morning here in London. So it's going to be an interesting landing. Very interesting. All right, coffee time. joking. We haven't nosedived or anything, have we? I only say that because that actually happened to me once when I was flying an Airbus. Again, the Airbus. Me and this plane never used to get on as much as you're seeing it now. Went downstairs, made a coffee. When I left the room, we was at 33,000 feet. I came back, I had less than 5,000 feet to rescue the plane. Only Lord knows what happened. But again, that was probably something I didn't do correctly. And the plane decided to just either do what I did tell it to do or just do its own thing because what I asked it to do didn't make any sense. I will say though, the Airbus is very sensitive, so just know what buttons you're pressing before you start moving around and doing all of this stuff, because if you're not pressing the right button and you start moving around, it doesn't take much for the autopilot in these Airbuses to disconnect. With the Boeings and the private jets, there's a little bit of wriggle room. So like if I hit the analog stick and start moving it around, the autopilot doesn't turn off as quick with the other planes as it does with the Airbus. The Airbus is immediate. If I touch the joystick now to try and move the plane, or if I put my foot on the rudders and I put too much turn into the rudder while the autopilot is on, it will disconnect almost immediately. I say this to say, if you're going to leave the room and you got the Airbus flying, just take one last glance before you disappear. Because you might get halfway down the stairs and for whatever reason, you put the control pad down, you press the button by accident, now your autopilot's off, you come back, you're just upset because your flight's been ruined and you don't know why. Just be aware that the Airbus is very sensitive to these things. I've learned all of this the hard way, trust me. Following now our route nicely here. Another thing I will note to you guys as well is when you are flying in the Airbus and you turn your cursor on, for some reason the throttle goes crazy. I don't know why. Again, there should be an update that will fix that. But for now, whenever I go cursor mode, the Airbus goes crazy. The engine starts spooling up. It either goes quicker or it deteriorates the engines. Don't know why. Don't know what the connection is there between cursor and engine. Makes no sense. We are flying along lovely. I'll be doing multiple flights today, but I won't be streaming them. This is just literally a how-to stream, if you like. And then I will be doing a couple of flights today. I'll probably do a flight out of Heathrow into Europe somewhere. See a sunrise landing in Europe. But yeah, I currently don't own many games or anything that's going to get me up out of bed at 5:30 in the morning just so that I could enjoy it on my day off of work. There's not many things. That shows how much I personally enjoy this sim. It's a brilliant sim to play. And if you're flying in certain parts of the world, it is so peaceful. There's certain parts of the world that are just beautiful to just look at. One can only imagine what they look like in real life. They're coming along nicely. I would say we probably got about, but I don't need to guess. How long do we have? Let's have a look here. We are due to arrive London, so BNN is BNN that you can see there, that is a waypoint. And I know that waypoint is basically Emirates Stadium, so Arsenal football ground is BNN. That's the waypoint is literally right above the stadium. And that's in real life as well. These are all real world waypoints. And BNN is a real world waypoint which is situated just above Emirates football ground, or near it anyway, a few nautical miles away. I say all that to say, BNN, we will reach there at 7:15. The time now is 6:38. So we've got a little while before we reach London. I will start our descent soon. Let's have a look here. Yes, so you might just be able to see that grey arrow there.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. Contact Manchester Center on 118.775. Good day.
Going to 118.775. EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
That grey arrow is our top of descent. That's when I need to start descending.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. Flight level 230.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. Manchester Center. Radar contact continues shaft.
I reckon I might put the seatbelt lights back on. This is quite a rocky ride into London. So let's do that. Thank you much. Now, my reason for picking this particular flight plan is because, in my opinion, it's one of the best approaches into almost any airport around the world in a city that there is. This approach takes you, especially when it's a sunrise or a sunset and it's clear skies, one of the best approaches you can do. It takes you right over London, over Buckingham Palace, all of the London Eye. If you've ever been in London and you've been in the vicinity of Heathrow at all, and you've seen planes fly over you, that's the flight route that we're literally doing. Quite literally the same flight route. From the sky, it's beautiful. Sun coming up over there. Beautiful. I'm trying to remember which one of these. I think it's that one, you know. I think it is that one. I did forget. One thing you have to make sure when you're doing your flight plan is make sure it says IFR on the flight rules, so that the ATC know exactly what you're doing. But I did forget to put in this information, so I can do this real quick. What is that? That is registration. Then we'll go. That was a slight oversight by me. But just make sure your flight rules is under IFR before you send that to the plane, because otherwise it won't work. Make sure your flight details under flight rules is under IFR. Okay, so we're nowhere near a couple
EZY-72,
percent.
GM, uniform 28070. You are 700 below your assigned altitude. Climb and maintain flight level 230.
Climb and maintain flight level 230, EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
How did we just lose 400 feet in 1 second?
Air France 1887. Maintain present altitude.
Maintain present altitude. Air France 1887.
Air France 1887. Climb and maintain flight level tree 60.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Air France 1887.
Air France 1887. Climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Air France 1887. Channix 271. Climb and maintain flight level tree 60.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Channix 271.
Air France 1887. Climb and maintain flight level tree 60.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Air France 1887.
Air France 1887. Climb and maintain flight level tree 60.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Air France 1887.
EZY-72, GM uniform 28070. Descend via NUGR 2 Hotel to 7000. Expect ILS runway 27 left approach via Bravo, November transition.
Descend via NUGR 2 Hotel to 7000. Expect ILS runway 27 left approach via Bravo November November transition, EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070, contact London Center on 118.475. Good day.
118.475, EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. London Center, EZY-72 GM uniform 28070 is passing flight level 225 descending 7000 via the NUGR2 hotel arrival.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. London Center, radar contact. Continue to stop it.
Now, for this part of the flight, this is our descent, obviously. I started descending when I saw the grey arrow, as I said to you earlier on in the flight. Now, we're not looking for the grey arrow or white arrow, we're looking for the blue one. Again, using the screen. Most of the time when landing, I'm just using this screen. Not so much this one. This one I glance, this one I look at. But yeah, if you see this blue arrow here, this blue arrow is telling me that's when I'm going to get to 7,000 feet. So it's the indication of when I get to my my descent altitude. So I've punched in 7,000. We'll be there by B and N, and if we look on our map, that's kind of perfect. I'm sure you could see that, but yes, that's just before we approach London, which is realistic. Because as they fly over my house, when I look at flight radar, they are at about 7 to 5,000 feet. So we're gonna be at a perfect altitude.
Keep speed not above 220 knots. EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
For our approach into London. And that's another thing I do like about the Airbus. All these indicators that I'm using on the screen, you don't have them on the Boeings. You do, but they're in a different form, and I'm not as familiar with the Boeing screens as I am now with the Airbus. But the Airbus gives you so many indications on what to do next, because obviously, as you probably start to find out playing this sim, flying a plane is like chess. You have to do everything 3 steps before it needs to be done. That just makes flying easier. Right, so we let's get involved here. Bring this down ourselves. So now I've got control of how steep the nose is. Looking at the blue line and trying to get myself at the right altitude at the right time. So we can bring the nose up a bit. So we'll bring the nose up a bit. Now I'm looking at this screen while I'm messing around with the vertical speed indicator, which basically tells you how much you're pitching the nose up or down. And I am using this screen to look at that blue line. You might not be able to see it on your screens, but I'm looking at the blue line. And right now it's indicating that we'll be at 7,000 just after the BNN waypoint, which is perfect. That's about where we want to be. Let's bring it up a bit more. Making our turn now towards BNN.
EZY-72, GM uniform 28070. Descend and maintain 6700.
Descend and maintain 6700. EZY-72 GM uniform 28070.
I'll go flaps 1. Someone else online over there flying a Blackbird. 67,000 feet. 67, what am I talking about? 6,700 feet set. Next will be 3,500, so let's set 3,500 from now.
Air
Remember
Canada,
I said it's
864.
chestnut checkers.
Climb and maintain 8,700.
So down to
EZY
3,000.
72 GM, uniform
set.
28070. Descend
That's our
and maintain
next
5,500.
altitude. And then we'll be down to 3,000 in
Descend
fact.
and maintain 5,500. EZY 72 GM uniform 28070.
Alright, let's do that now. Set. What did he just say? 5,500, I can do that. Let's do the steps as they say and see if that works. But I do know ATC in this sim at the moment are a little bit slow to tell you to descend, so sometimes you end up having to nosedive the plane, which I do not want to do. So let's take us down to where I said we'll go right down. We'll go right down to 3.6. That's decent. Where's 3.6? Where's the blue arrow? Yeah, that's perfect. If I go 3,000 and bring the nose up a bit.
EZY 72 GM uniform 28070. Descend and maintain 4,400.
Right, we can now
Keep
see
speed not above 180
standard
knots.
flashing. That's telling us we need to set our QNH.
Descend and maintain
So let's
4,400.
set it.
Keep speed not above 180 knots.
Remember
EZY
we did it
72 GM
earlier?
uniform
So all we've got to do is press
28070.
X twice. QNH set. Our blue arrow is nowhere to be found, so let's bring the nose down. And our arrow is now back. Beautiful. Bring that nose down a bit more. Now I want to give you the scenery of what we've got outside. Can't see much. Unfortunately, it's very cloudy, so we're not going to see too much on the approach. But we are surrounded by a lot of stuff. BT Towers there, St. James Palace, Buckingham Palace, Waterloo Bridge, Emirates is there. Not going to see too much, unfortunately.
EZY 72 GM uniform 28070. 13 miles east. Inbound ILS runway 27 left approach.
This is what they call the business end of it all. Right, 2,500. Let's set that now. 2,500.
Cleared ILS runway 27 left approach. EZY 72 GM uniform 28070.
That's fine. Right now, let's get all our lights set up. Should have done this already, realistically. Landing lights on. Taxi lights on. Lovely, that's all set. Making it nice turn now. Like I said, we're not going to see much, but the view on a clear day here is out of this world of London. But we're not going to see anything unfortunately. Right. I'll be taking over soon. Let's get ourselves slowed right down. Right down. Right down. 175. Set. I'll be taking over shortly. Right. We'll be at 1.6 when we're supposed to be at 1.4. That's fine. Wow, we are not going to see the runway till last minute. We will have the gears down. We'll have more flaps set at 2. Landing lights set. Q&H set. Seatbelt lights on. We have 3 greens for the gears. My feet are now on the rudder pedals.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. Follow the Airbus A380 on final.
Auto throttle off.
Clear to land runway 27 left.
Autopilot off. The plane is now
Clear to
mine.
land runway 27 left.
Can't see the
EZY-72
runway.
uniform 28070.
Still can't see the runway. Bringing our speed back. Oh, where's the runway? Where is it? This is gonna be hairy. Full flaps. Speed it up. Holding the altitude of 1,200 feet until I see the runway. Oh, this is hairy. Oh, this is hairy. Slightly off. Bring the nose down more. Bring back the speed. This is hairy.
1,000.
Where is the runway? Oh, I see it. I see it. I see it. Oh, this is a hairy one. Bring back the speed, son. Bring it way back. We are way too high, but we're going to go in. It's going to be a rough one. Rudder pedals. Bring ourselves onto the center line. Using our rudders. It's a hairy one.
50, 40,
And
20.
flares.
Retard. Retard.
Here we go.
Retard. Retard.
Not bad. Nose down. Reverse thrust. Beautiful, and welcome to Heathrow. That was hairy. I knew it would be. I knew it. Welcome to Heathrow, mate. I knew I was not going to see the runway till the last minute because I'm looking at my window in real life, and like I said when we took off, I can't see the crane across the road. That was hairy. Alrighty. Our wheels just started skidding there. That didn't happen. Right, all those lights off, landing lights off. Clear that, and let's get
Emirates
our
7, turn next taxiway.
gate, shall we?
Heathrow ground.
That was hairy.
EZY-72 GM uniform
Right, clean all this up.
28070.
Flaps up.
Taxi to the gate.
Lights are off. Beautiful.
EZY-72 GM uniform 28070. Taxi to gate 225 using taxiway November 7 Delta Alpha.
Taxi to gate 225 using taxiway November
Wow, the turning circle on a wet taxiway is terrible. Right, let's go to our taxi stand and we will be done. Wow, yeah, the turning circle is terrible in the wet. I've never noticed that before. I have never noticed that before. Maybe it's airport specific. Alright. The gate always starts moving too early. Always. Right. And stop. Parking brakes set. And welcome to Heathrow Airport. That is how you get the flight plan and the plane to work in unison. We'll have our taxi lights off so we're not blinding everyone. And our strobes off for the same reason. And there you go. That's how it's done. Just remember, one last thing I will say that I forgot to say at the beginning. In flight details, make sure your flight rules is IFR. So then when you're doing here, IFR, it's all in unison. Center avionics first, set plane up, center ATC, off you go. You're welcome.